Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation, and our Paws On Netflix segment.
And today we're covering the anime series exclusively on Netflix, Moonrise.
This anime has surprisingly had no talk online on any social media platform, despite it being a high quality, star-studded anime. So it's time we give it some spotlight to shine and let you know whether you should check it out or not. But
before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and notifications with some future podcasts and World of Paws videos.
Thank you so much for joining us today, sharing our videos, commenting, everything you do. We always appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes.
This one we got excited about and heard about because of Ryan Coatlevy on X.
Yes.
He made a post that he's appearing as the character named Phil, and I was like, okay, we gotta watch it. That was it. Sight unseen, no knowledge about it.
Right.
And right after that, the anime premiered on Netflix. I think it took us maybe a day before we started watching it.
Right. And the season has 18 episodes, and it looks like it's going to be only one season. It's a one and done type series because the way it ends, there really isn't a cliffhanger. It's sort of like you just make up your own thing that happens after it's over.
Mm-hmm. So for those of you not familiar with Moonrise, as we weren't, it's a Japanese original net animation directed by Masashi Koizuka and produced by Wish Studio. Now it's based on a novel written by To Ubukata.
Oh, okay.
And To Ubukata is the pen name of Mineo Fujino. He's a Japanese novelist, mangaka, and anime screenwriter who primarily writes fantasy and action fiction.
Okay.
This book was written back in 2018, and unfortunately there's no information online that I can find on it.
For the book.
Right, so we don't know if there was some type of adaptation. Did they change anything? We're not sure. But we can also let you know, for those of you who probably are familiar with him, he did series composition for Ghost in the Shell, Arise, Psycho-Pass 2, and Psycho-Pass 3.
Oh, that makes sense.
So if you are familiar with him, let us know in the comments.
Yes. And it took us a little bit to watch this, not just because it was 18 episodes, because we were trying to fit things in alongside it, because the episodes aren't really long. They're still like maybe a 21
to 31 minutes depending.
Right.
I think the first episode is the longest.
Right. So we watched it, and it had a very different beginning than we thought. It was actually interesting. For the first maybe 5 or 6 episodes, it was actually something different, hadn't seen before. It had a very similar concept in terms of having a colonization on the moon and one on Earth and having the battle. They did something different with the idea. But as it went on, I think the problem for people that did not talk about the anime that much is that it started to not stand out anymore after so long. The characters, unfortunately, don't stand out in their names, and people have been making fun of most of their names. The concept is there, but they don't do anything that makes it stand out. And I think that's why there is no talk. Because even when I tried to check for Twitter, any tweets, outside of Netflix advertising, which are very low, maybe 10 retweets, there are no tweets about this show, no comments, nothing from fans, nothing. It's like a ghost town.
And we have a few theories on why that is. But first, who do we have to thank for this? Well, it was directed by Masashi Koizuka and written by him as well. Produced by Tetsuya Nakataki, music by Ryu Kawasaki. So what's the plot? Trapped at the height of a cosmic conflict between Earth and the Moon, Jack Kobayashi, or as he's called in English, Jake, enlists as a scout in Earth's army seeking revenge against the Moon's rebel forces, but ends up discovering an unexpected leader. If it kinda sounds familiar to you, well, it is. It's he's called Jacob Shadow, but
for
you'll
some
find
reason
out later.
English,
There are elements of other franchises you're familiar with, including Star Wars. Yes, you can see the elements that have been added to it, that have been an influence or inspiration.
Yes.
And you've got a good cast of recognizable voice actors who do a great job.
Mm.
There are, as we mentioned, a couple of reasons that we kind of think this didn't work for many. So first off, the first episode started off, and the first episode was fantastic. We watched it, and again, it was the longest, and we were like, okay, this is good. As Rascal said, it was something presented differently. It was a different element to it. There was a great cliffhanger at the end of episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
You get a lot of backstory quickly presented to you on Jack, and what happened to his parents, what are the events that lead up to the present, and you're left with a cliffhanger when episode 1 ends with he and Phil,
right?
Who you don't know who he is until episode 2. So you get through the first 3 episodes, and the first 3 episodes really have you anchored, staying there, wanting to continue to watch. Those episodes continue introducing other characters that he ends up working with. You find out later that he has another childhood friend, but not before later.
Right. And
you get to episode 4, and it starts to taper off.
Yes. Both in the story and in the characters. We already said, unfortunately, the characters don't stand out. No one gets a focus. There's no filler. There's no beach. There's none of the anime stuff you're expecting.
No
period.
Festival, no beach, no. Yeah, you're right.
It's taken completely seriously.
Right.
And the other thing would be is that it slowly started to fall into tropes of anime that you didn't want to see, or tropes of Netflix shows that you didn't want to see. Granted, some of these things may have already been in the original book, but they were exaggerated to a degree where it started to feel like you were watching something Western, where they put in multiple tropes and ideas and stereotypes that you grow tired of seeing from Western animation, and now it's seeped into here.
Very true. And we don't know, again, if that was part of the original source material or if it got Netflixed.
Right.
And changed. Another thing that we know had to be frustrating, and we're going to mention Voltron first before this. When Voltron was on, as you know, there was a controversy. When the season returned, it was season 7
and 8, yeah.
Yes, where people felt they were, what's the phrase
they used? Queer baited.
Queer baited, because they showed in one of the trailers Shiro and Adam, and later on that wasn't explored. Well, honestly, we didn't see it and we didn't understand it. Then we get to this series, and at the end of episode 4, if I'm not mistaken,
and the trailer,
especially the trailer, you see a scene that you should be seeing now, where he and Phil are together, and Phil touches his face, and there's no way in heck to see this as anything but a romance. And they give you the impression that, okay, there was a love story between the two, and he wants to get him back. And then you find out by the end of the series that is not true. So, yes, people were baited into believing there was a romance. And for some people, now we can understand why they were pissed off. And we're going to give spoilers here, so if you haven't seen, you want to see it, you might want to turn off now. If you don't care, keep listening. But in the end of this freaking series, in the last episode, Phil says, "Oh, Jack, you're my brother." And we're like, what? And then
right.
So for all the times we didn't understand when you felt you were being baited and we couldn't see it, we apologize. Because here it's absolutely positively clear that people were baited into thinking there was a relationship that didn't exist.
Right.
And we can see that as being a reason, if people watched it all the way through to the end, that they got pissed off. And I think that it was also very deceptive for Netflix. To leave to the last episode the true nature of the relationship, so that people who may have been watching it for that, and then the last scene, you see the phone ringing, Jack's phone ringing, and it says Phil. And we were like, what the heck was this?
And
what kind of ending was this?
It's like, oh, you decide. Like, what? Yeah.
And all the way through to episode 4. And then you have his sister who turns up, who is obvious as his sister as soon as you see her, because they focus on the pink hair. And it's like, we don't need you to direct us in what theories to create. Let people figure it out for themselves. But that is another drawback to this anime. You kind of feel like you're being drawn to make particular conclusions while you're watching it, and you're not left to figure things out or to be a detective or anything like that, and that was very annoying. Another thing that didn't work is you had another character, her name Rochelle, and you find out later that he grew up with Reese as well, but Reese didn't know Phil and Mary, and you're kind of like confused. And then they make you think that there was going to be a relationship between Reese and Jack. Right. And we're like, oh, well, then no, it's not going to be one because, Jacob, who some reasons called Jack, not in any universes, Jacob called Jack is usually Jake. But in this anime, he's called Jack. You think there's going to be a relationship. And then the second to last episode, they show you there's not going to be that either.
No. And for some reason, that one did get more verbal attention in the show. Like, oh, so you like him. It's not like that. Oh, you trying to hide it. No, it's not like that. And you can't tell anymore if she's lying or not, because the show kind of hints at romance, but then they want to avoid it. And I don't think they could tell what they wanted to do here, regardless of what was in the book. Yeah. Netflix just seemed to manipulate what was in the show to advertise to people to get them to watch. Even if though none of this was even in the show, they kept harping on particular scenes out of context to make it look like something else.
Yeah. And they also did it between Jack and Mary. But let's stop there.
Yeah, it's just bad.
We'll tell you what did work. The animation's gorgeous.
Yes.
It's gorgeous.
Yes.
It's great to look at. And again, the first 3 episodes are spectacular. They keep you on the edge of your seat, and you really want to keep watching because they were just that good. Also, again, the voice acting cast is great, and we'll go over that shortly.
The worst part is that one biggest reason of all that it goes downhill is that the story stopped being interesting. It started being very convoluted. It was trying to fit in all these minor things and big things, a subplot, a thing about the AI want to take over like Skynet. It's not brought up again until near the end. Then they think this thing about androids and robots and the moon versus the earth and politics and things. It starts trying to do so much towards the end that by the end, when the good guys win, you're not even feel like it's a victory because you don't even know what was at stake anymore after the first half of the series.
True. So let's give a shout out to the voice cast. As Jacob Jack Shadow, we had Alan Lee. As Phil Ash, we had Ryan Colevi.
Yay!
Osma is voiced by Corey Yee. Duan is voiced by Michael Woodley. Iana Zinger, Ren Holly Liu. Zoan, voiced by Brittany Lauda. Yes, some of these characters don't even have last names.
No.
Eric Baker's voiced by Caleb Yen. And it looks like George, but they kept saying Georg. Landry is voiced by John Omohundro.
Don't understand.
Reese Rochelle's voiced by Courtney Lynn. Mary, voiced by Jenna Z. Alvarez. Bob Skylum, and you got to talk about that quickly, voiced by Christopher W. Jones. Weiss Crown, voiced by Leilani Barrett. Dr. Salamandra, voiced by Tiana Camacho. Wendy Silf, and Novice Harbinger don't show English voice actors all over there.
Okay.
And you talk about the Bob Skylum meme thing that just got out of hand.
Yes. When they had the trailer for Moonrise, and the trailer didn't even get that much. It got 1 million views, which is low for a Netflix trailer. There were a plethora of comments below. But the thing is, they didn't really talk about the show. A few did that they were excited. It looked great. It's by Himura Arakawa doing the character designs, which were excited them and looked good. But then majority of the comments when you scroll down is when they hear the name Bob Skylum, who's supposed to be antagonist of the series. And everyone dogged the name so much because they sounded so generic or unthreatening that became the entire conversation of the comments section. Is Bob Skylum. Threatening name, Bob Skylum. That's the name you come up with. That's not even memorable. And Phil, his arch nemesis Phil, they made so much fun of the name that it sounded so generic or boring that someone didn't even bother watching the show when they heard the name. Like, if you can't come up with a good name, why should I watch? Well, that became a meme in itself.
Right. So they're all like AOT type characters.
Right.
So I don't think, personally, I feel harsh about Bob Skylum. It was just a name, and I went with it.
Yeah.
So if you've seen Moonrise, the Netflix series, let us know in the comments. What did you think? Do you agree with our conclusions? Did you love? Tell us your thoughts below. If you haven't seen it, again, if you're just curious to find out, go ahead and give it a watch. But if you're looking for something to invest your time in, it's going to deliver for your investment. Unfortunately, Moonrise isn't it, and probably isn't for you.
Right. And if you don't know, subscribe for updates and weekly videos for anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today. Subscribing, sharing our videos, commenting, everything you do. As always, you are special.
Thank you so much for watching Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.